Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. This video is about Ezekiel 22 verses 23 through 31. It's about the difference between holy and common. Again, it's about the difference between holy and common. Holy is on the narrow path to life, and common is on the broad path to destruction. And they're the types of people who work with the government to sabotage me because their arguments are stupid, their way of thinking is stupid, and I'm obviously the top martial artist. You should see that I'm right by the time I'm done with this video. Again, the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, say to the land, you are a land that has not been cleansed or rained on in the day of wrath. There's a conspiracy of her princes and prophets within her, like a roaring lion tearing its prey. They devour people, take treasures and precious things, and make many widows within her. Her priests do violence to my law and profane my holy things. They do not distinguish between the holy and the common. They teach that there is no difference between the unclean and the clean. So obviously everyone who's been watching my videos, they know that there's a lot of racist whites and Jews and LGBT people who are jealous of me. And they coordinate with people in psychological operations to get people to go out of their way to interrupt my videos and so on and so forth. And so when people are slack in their work, when they're not rallying to me, they're brother to one who destroys, right? Proverbs 18:9. They're brother to these common people. Common is yoked to common. Holy is yoked to holy. And there's no church or mosque or synagogue out there that's holy. And that's what Ezekiel's saying. He's saying, you people, whether you're in your synagogues or not. And if he was around during the time of churches, he'd say, whether you're in your churches or not. You do not distinguish between holy and common. Flanders, the idea of Flanders, right? Billy Graham, Joel Osteen, Pat Robertson, all these token minorities out there who preach. They're common, a dime a dozen. Nothing about them is holy. Nothing about them is set apart by God. So they do not distinguish between the holy and the common. They teach that there is no difference between the unclean and the clean. And they shut their eyes to the keeping of my Sabbaths, so that I am profaned among them. Now keep in mind, the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath. I can do what I want on the Sabbath. I'm the Lord of the Sabbath. The Sabbath isn't holy because people don't go to work. That's stupid. It's holy because people are supposed to be holy. And then they take a break if it makes sense. For example, if you're attacked on the Sabbath, are you going to say that you're not supposed to fight back because you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath? That's stupid. Now, if the society that insists that people take a break on the Sabbath, and a lot of people can't make up their mind whether it's Saturday or Sunday, mind you, or if it's even one of those. If the society has nothing but evil churches and mosques and fake Christians and Muslims and Jews and evil synagogues, can they then turn around and say, why aren't you keeping the Sabbath? Well, that's not my religion. My religion is universal, pinpointed moral precision. I'm not a Jew, Muslim, or Christian. I'm Christ. Why would I honor a day that you people have never honored? There's no evidence that anyone has ever truly honored the Sabbath. Not by not working on that day. It's pretty straightforward. So they don't make the distinction between these common misconceptions and the holy interpretation of what the Sabbath is. That's why they're profaning things, right? They're profane, pro-fake. They're not really pros. They're not really experts on how to serve God. They don't really know God. They're unclean, they're common, they're dumb. Her officials within her are like wolves tearing their prey. They shed blood and kill people to make unjust gain. So whether or not they go to church or they don't work on the Sabbath, because they're complicit with the cultures that massacre and rape people, they're evil, they're wolves. Because they pursue unjust gain, they're wolves. Because they do all the above, they are wolves. Because they change my voice, or they're playing stupid about it, they're wolves. It goes on to say her prophets whitewash these deeds. They whitewash those deeds for them by false visions and lying divinations. They say this is what the sovereign Lord says when the Lord has not spoken. The people of the land practice extortion and commit robbery. They oppress the poor and needy and mistreat the foreigner, denying them justice. And it's not just the Republican part. I'm sure you all understand that they do that. But it's everybody outside the divine order. I look for someone among them who would build up the wall and stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land, so I would not have to destroy it. But I found no one. So I will pour out my wrath on them and consume them with my fiery anger, bringing down on their own heads all they have done, declares the sovereign Lord. So some of you might say, why are you bringing politics into it? Well, I'm not a Democrat or Republican. They are disgraced parties. Not a single one of them stood with me. Lots of them are involved in the psychological operation against me. They're scum. God despises them. Everyone's supposed to put God first. If you put country first, you're not a man. There's no other way to look at it. Ver and virtue means man. It used to be legal in this country to own slaves. And people would rape and abuse their slaves with impunity. They've had all kinds of unfair laws. They've changed laws in this country. One moment abortion is illegal, then it's legal, then it's illegal again. They can't even make up their mind. So you stand for something that is very foolish. Something that changes for stupid reasons. You stand for a corrupt system, a corrupt nation, a corrupt military. You stand for persecuting Christ for child molesters. And God can't respect that at all. God refuses to respect that because God is just. And He refuses to be unjust. If you think I'm wrong, you're an idiot. It's that simple.